Ladies and gentlemen, today is January 14th, 2016, and this is the KNKL Show, episode 277, where we learn to be better artists. My name is Kienan Lafferty, and today we are going to be doing a tutorial on drawing off a head. Wait, isn't that exactly what I've always told you guys not to do? Yes, that's right. We are going to be talking about breaking the rules today. And we are going to be featuring... I know that today's episode is late. I know, before you guys all start writing in the comments, it's late. Yes, I know, because I've been working very hard on this latest piece, which is a revisit of one of my original characters, Nuclear Girl, which you can see up there in the top left. But just in case you don't believe me, here is the original... Oh. Here is the original on the DeviantArt, done way back in 2006, 10 years ago. 10 years ago, quite a jump. And we're going to be talking about how we got to this point today. Got a little time lapse created for you, and we got a bunch of other notes to go through as well. Got a bunch of other notes that we're going to be talking about today. But before we actually get into that, we need to take a stroll down a very special place, and that is, of course, Da Lovely Lane, because you guys have been submitting your pieces to the Facebook, so thank you guys so much. If you'd like to take a look at all these for yourself, just type in that tiny URL /KNKL fanart. Go check out all the pieces for yourself, like the page, and most importantly, get featured on the show. That could be your art right there. See that one right there? Scrolling by. That could be you right there. Let's go check it out. And yeah, like the page and all that good stuff. All righty, ladies and gentlemen. That should catch us up right there. All right, cool. So we are done with that. Now let's go ahead and get into today's tutorial. And that is, of course, drawing off a head. Okay, why did I even say that? I mean, this is clearly not a head. This is a full body. But my art does not always start like this. In fact, it starts more like this. Starts with a sketch. And we're going to be, with that, we're going to start the time lapse, okay? We're going to be talking about drawing off a head. And most importantly, I'm going to tell you guys, because this, you may have not seen the old episode about why I talked about not doing this. But if I can actually hit the play button, we can get started on this. There we go, okay. So, and let me go ahead and put that, is that other thing up? Okay, cool, awesome, perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to let this time lapse go. It's not, don't worry about paying attention too much. Is more for your entertainment purposes. We'll go into some more detail and real-time exploration after this. But in the meantime, we're just kind of taking it easy. Because I've been working hard, and I need to relax after working on this because, yeah, this was a very challenging piece. But originally what I was going to do was, you might have noticed in the very beginning of the time-lapse, there was a bunch of thumbnails, and you'll probably see them like pop up every now and then. I was originally planning on doing a completely different pose, completely different piece, much more dynamic, much more cool than the current one. Because the current one, it does look cool. It looks good in its own right, you know. Oh wait, this one looks okay, you know, but it's just flat on. It's not very dynamic, right? So I had originally a thumbnail that was going to be much more dynamic and cool. But for this, I just decided, you know what? I wanted to focus a little bit more on faces. I wanted to focus on, because we just finished Mika. And she had like a cute face, right? And always I'm trying to find like that cool mixture of like realistic faces and anime with where you can kind of blend the two together, like amazing artists like Kron Prince did, which you guys have seen. That was what Mika was inspired by, our last piece. And but the problem that I always run into is that, okay, so I know how to make the cute kind of like realistic anime girl looking face, right? But then what happens when I want to make another girl with a different looking face? Still attractive, but not like take those same exact proportions, so then we fall into the Barbie doll syndrome where all the faces look the same and it's just different hair, right? So that was what I was trying to explore with Nuclear Girl here, as well as kind of taking a look at the old piece, right? Our old piece, and asking ourselves, you know, what do I like about this? What character do I see in this other than a scantily clad, you know, girl holding a gun, which is awesome in itself, but what is the character specifically in the face and even in the hair? I actually changed up the hair a little bit too. So that was what I was wanting to do. Staying true to the old piece, right? But injecting some new flavor into it. Okay, so let's talk about now what we're doing here. We are drawing off a head. No! Oh, I've told you guys not to do this ever because basically this is going to explain why. Because when you draw from a head, right? Well, let's first talk about why I want to do this. So I drew the portrait, and then I was like, okay, this is a good portrait. I can totally take this into the dynamic piece that I was thinking of doing later. But then I thought, you know what? I almost like want to draw the full body because the original drawing that I had, the original thumbnail, let me see if I can actually find it. I think it's actually right here. If we can see it, was it one of these? Ah, here we go, yeah. So this is probably a piece that we'll be going into later, right? So this is the original thumbnail. But do you see how a lot of, like, there's a gun, if you can't tell, that's a gun right there, and it's covering up a lot of her body. So a lot of her costume was going to be covered up, and I wanted to focus a little bit more on retaining the same qualities as our old nuclear girl. So I said, okay, well, since we're just doing like kind of an experimental piece, I just felt good about going forward with this and doing kind of a straight on standing shot. Okay, so here is lesson 1 right here. So this is how you guys are going, if you are going to draw off a head, this is how I would expect you to do it. This is how I would ask you to do it. Because what I'm doing here is I have taken the layer, as you can see, like down here, I've lowered the opacity and I've created a new layer. And instead of like slowly drawing down the body, right? Like, okay, we've drawn like the chest. Now let's slowly work our way down to the waist and like detail that. And let's slowly work our way down to the hips and detail that. What I'm doing is I'm laying in the entire shape first, so we can know like the flow of the body. Where are the arms going to go? Where's the gun going to go? And see how messy and kind of crude this is? But this is the way that I have taught you guys to do this for so long, is that you don't want to draw a head and then slowly start detailing and working your way down the body. Draw the head and then sketch everything else in, sketch in your pose, sketch in all the shapes that you're going to use, as you can see there, and then make your way down. And then begin refining, okay? And we're going to go into some more detail on that if we need to. Actually, I guess I kind of explained it right there. But that's okay because I got a ton of other things to talk about. All right, so that is my way to break the rule. I always told you guys that it is an imperative rule that you do not draw a head and then try to... This especially does not work with action poses. Like say you wanted a guy to be like, you know, like jumping and like he's getting ready to like punch something, right? Like a big old Falcon punch, right? The problem is that you draw this face like this, like straight on, and then imagine that you want to draw like the body now like attacking, right? So here, let me fully detail this. Oh, and then we're going to go into something really good right here. This is another good thing that we need to talk about. Okay, so let's talk about Captain Falcon, okay? So Captain Falcon's face, you draw his face in a portrait. You're like, that is totally Captain Falcon. Okay, now let's have him getting ready to do a Falcon punch. And then it's like, okay, let's draw the body in a really like awesome, you know, dynamic pose, right? Or he's like punching at you. Or this works better if he's like doing like this. But if his face is still like this, see how it looks weird, right? And the reason is because you were drawing the face as one thing, but then the body came after. Rather, what I highly recommend for action poses is that you draw the entire body out first, because you need to notice how your body like change, your body language changes. The entire flow will change. So like you'll then know if you do it like this, like you need to have the head tilted back. You know, it's like you lay everything out as shapes first, and then you go in and start doing the face, as opposed to drawing the head first and then putting the body on, and then we're doing one of these things. All right. By the way, I know you like this. This is like really hot. Okay, so let's go ahead and get back into this thing, okay? Because this part is very important. So let's talk about geometric man-made objects, okay? Such as this gun. I know you guys all love working in perspective and you love drawing man-made things. I know I certainly do, but here's the way to do it. Here's the proper way to do it. So I sketched in the general shape, right? But then what you have to do eventually, and this is going to lead into something else that we're talking about, drawing with layers, using layers to your advantage. So if you look down here in my layers tab, we have layer 3, which is all these lines. Basically, I like to kind of like add things. I like to add things on layers, and then eventually I'll flatten them back down, because what I'm trying to go for here is a solid black and white piece, which we are then going to sketch lift, but we'll get to that in a second. We'll get to that in just a second. Okay, but what I've done here is I have lowered the opacity on this, and now I am sketching out the gun as if I were drawing only that, only the gun, because it doesn't matter how this character's body is like bending around the gun. Like the arm is not going to bend the stock of the gun. Like the body must conform to it. The body must conform to the shape of that gun. So the gun's always going to look the same, which is why we can draw it on its own and make sure we get all of our perspective right, get all the perspective right. And if you guys are curious about some perspective, I did do a tutorial on specifically weapons back when we were doing our Splatoon piece. And if you would like to go see that, click the Photoshop picture right now. That'll take you back to our tutorial. We're not drawing sexy nuclear girls. We're drawing tentacle girls, right? If you're into that, whatever. I mean, I'm not judging. But we're also working on the Splatoon guns, and you guys can see how we do the perspective on those, and that will help clarify that more. So yeah, click that picture if you want to go see that. Let's move on. Now that we got the gun now in proper perspective, see, it looks really nice. There's still some more refinement that we need to do, but we'll get to that. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is stigmas. Stigmas, and what are stigmas? Stigmas in the art world, I believe, there's a couple stigmas that we have. And one of the craziest ones, a lot of them are made up in our heads, right? And one of the stigmas that I used to hold on to was references, right? I used to say, oh, you know what? If I'm a good artist, I shouldn't need references. I should know how to draw everything all on its own, right? These, like the way that the shorts work and the folds and all that, the cutoff shorts, right? I have plenty of experience with cutoff shorts. I'm wearing them every day, right? So I should know how they work. I don't need a reference. I don't need a photo. But no, references and photos are basically godsends in the art world, and it's like the best artists are all stealing it anyway. So don't feel ashamed if you literally want to copy a picture or copy a pose. In fact, let me go ahead and pull up the sexy lady that was wearing the shorts that I referenced, right? So look at this. I was like, oh man, those are some nice hot shorts. Perfect for Nuclear Girl. So, and I really liked referencing mostly like how all the folds happen like in the crotch area, because I like always mess that up. So it's really nice having that to translate over, right? It makes it look so much more believable when you have an actual photo. And speaking of ripping things off, we also ripped off this pose. This entire pose of this army girl right here is completely taken. In fact, like the folds in the arms and the gun. I totally stole that. But people would have you believe that doing this is a bad thing. And of course, you want to be able to make up your own poses as well. But in terms of like studying and just like if you see a pose that you really like, then of course you should take it. Why would you not take it? Because this is not like taking this stuff and using it for your own purposes. Of course, if I just like totally like stole this or like dragged it, even if you dragged it over and traced it, it's like, it doesn't matter. Whatever gets the job done gets it done, okay? So that's what I'm trying to get across to you guys today. You need to drop the stigmas about using reference. You need to drop the stigmas about thinking that you need to know it all. Drop the stigmas about using brushes too, because that was another thing that I used to have. I used to say, okay, well, if I'm a good artist, all I need to use is the hard round brush. I don't need to use the chalk brush. I don't need to use texture brushes, because that is for artists that like to cheat and be efficient and save time. And I am not one of those artists, right? Professional artists do not save time. They work slowly, right? They're lagging behind everybody else, and their art looks like it was all done with the hard round brush. So don't use brushes, right? That was what I thought. So yes, drop the stigmas about that stuff. Use your references, use photos, use poses, use all that stuff, because that's what all the great artists are doing anyway, okay? So now that we got that out of the way, let's see. So one thing that I want to talk about in terms of doing a real-time thing for you guys, a real-time explanation, is the drawing in layers. That's what we're going to be doing today, as well as, and that will kind of correlate back into drawing off of a head. But in the meantime, we got to finish up this good old time lapse. You guys can see here that a lot of the process is just refining. And if you look very closely down here at layer 7, right? A lot of this I'm doing on one layer at a time. Sometimes I'll create a new layer to make like a slight change, and that's what we're going to go into. And then I'll merge it back down when I'm done. I always merge it back down because I just like thinking in terms of like one layer. It really, really helps. And I'm not worrying about, I'm just painting in black and white because we're also going to sketch lift at the end. We're going to sketch lift at the end. And I'll show you guys what that is, and I'll also give you a link to it as well. So, okay, so I got to remember that. In fact, I'm going to write it down because I always say we're going to talk about stuff and then we don't. Okay, so sketch, lift, and head. Off a head. Okay, cool. So those are the main tutorials for today. All right, peeps. I drew this antenna in, didn't really like it. It just looked kind of weird. I had this old school one. Oh, check this out. So I also had this other kind of army girl that I drew a while ago. And she had this antenna on her back. Or actually, it's more so on her front. There we go. Oh, whoops. There we go. Okay. So you can see here, she has like this antenna up by her shoulder. And I really liked that. So I wanted to kind of take that and use it in this piece. As well as like this cord that's wrapping around her shoulder, like going to like her walkie-talkie. Looked really cool. So totally took that, stole from myself. Even steal from yourself. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Steal from yourself, steal from other artists, steal from Google. Do whatever it takes to get your piece looking awesome. All right, so let's go back to, where was it? Oh, there we go. Okay, so we are finishing up our piece. Finally, I'm so happy that we are nearly done with our piece here. And yeah, I'm really happy with that. So for the last like little bit, oh, you can see me here. Now I'm really going in and refining these shorts. I totally almost forgot the belt. How terrible would that have been? By the way, I hope you guys really like this tactical bra, because before I was looking at this old nuclear girl, I was like, okay, she's literally like wearing like a button-up shirt, a straight up bra, and like a thong that's like showing above the shorts. Like, you can definitely tell that I was, what was that? I was 18 at this point. You can definitely tell I was 18 at this age. But I still like that. I wanted to stay true to the character. You still got a little bit of that underwear kind of popping up the side there, but not quite as gratuitous as it was before, right? We're tasteful now, but we have grown up. We have matured into slightly less, well, you know, we're not little boys anymore, or at least I'm not. I'm a mature little boy now. I'm a mature man-child. So anyway, but I liked taking everything. I liked taking everything that was present in the old piece and translating it over to the new piece, and I had a lot of fun with that. And it was a very, very good time. Very good time. And yeah, tactical bra. I mean, when in doubt, just like put some like squares on it. Put like some little pad things on it. I mean, you could put like, and of course you got to have the pockets, because I made the terrible mistake of not putting pockets in this old nuclear girl right here. See what? Where's her utility? She can't store any like extra bullets in there. I mean, that's terrible. She's totally not, this is not a realistic army girl at all. Okay, but see, now you got the pockets hanging out the bottom. You could store like 2 extra bullets in there. So we're all good to go now. All right, cool. And she actually has a backpack on. So I figured that's my excuse now. She has all her supplies in her backpack now. So yeah. Oh, and I loved, like, speaking of using reference, that's why those hands look so good, because I just totally referenced the hands that were in this piece here. I love referencing photos specifically for hands. Even though this is like a low resolution image, like just the flow of these fingers. Do you see that? How it just goes up the barrel of the gun? And this one was a little bit more unclear because you got like that watermark in there. But I really like the flow of those fingers. So if anything I can teach you guys today is, you guys hear me talk about this all the time. The most important parts of your piece are going to be the face. The face is going to tell most of your expression, but then also a lot of people underestimate the hands. They underestimate the hands. Oh, and you guys can see me doing something really important here too. And that was using the liquefy tool. So you can see me going in there and warping her legs back into place. And this is another stigma that people have. Oh, if I'm a good artist, I shouldn't use the liquefy tool on the face. I shouldn't warp things around. Again, drop that one too. Liquefy is there. It's like saying, oh, if I'm a good artist, I shouldn't be using Photoshop at all. I should just be able to paint everything on canvas. And maybe that is your philosophy. In that case, I salute you, because people that work in traditional media, they don't get to hit Control-Z when they mess up. They got to redo everything over and over again. All right, guys, so that does it with the time lapse. Let's go ahead and move into the next part. And that is, of course, the live tutorial. I don't know what's been going on with my mouse lately. I feel like it's like something's up with the sensitivity or something. But anyway. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close that down. Do we need that? Yeah, actually, I'll keep that up. Okay, so check this out, guys. So here's basically how I work off of a head in a nutshell. Okay, so let's go ahead and revisit what we did earlier. So you got this really great head. In fact, let's go way back here. Let's go way back to just this point. Okay, this is a great point. Great example. Okay, so we've got this portrait here, and we like it, and now we say, hey, you know what? I'd like to draw the rest of the body on this girl. So here's what I want you guys to not do. It's like, okay, well, we're going to draw the body. So let's go ahead and make it smaller, because obviously we need space for the body. And then let's go in here, and let's not make a new layer. And let's go ahead and just start drawing, okay, here's like the chest, right? And then, yeah, well, obviously, I mean, she's got to have some clothes on, so let's put those on. That would be very naughty if she didn't. Okay, and then, okay, now let's put like some arms in there. Good. And then let's like work our way down. Okay, now let's zoom in a little bit more. Zoom in a little bit more because we want to get detail, right? It's all about details. Okay, and let's use the right brush too. Oh wait, we're supposed to be doing everything wrong right now. Let's use the wrong brush here. All right, now let's focus on like, let's draw some shorts, right? And they're cutoffs, of course, right? So let's draw those cutoff shorts. And then let's draw some legs. Good. And then she's got like these armored leg things. And there we go. Okay, cool. So we drew a body onto our head. Let's zoom out. Oh! Oh! Ugh, that is not good. Okay, so this is lesson 1 of why you don't do this. This is why you don't slowly work your way down, but rather, here's what you should do, okay? And I'm just going to keep that for the heck of it, okay? That'll be available on Patreon later for you guys to look at in the hidden layers. Okay, so let's try this again. Let's erase everything. And let me show you guys how to properly do this. Get rid of this atrocious sight. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to work on a new layer, okay? So what I like to do is I like to lower the opacity just a little bit. Takes my attention off of the head. Make a new layer, which is Shift-Control-N. That's your shortcut. And then what I'm going to ask that you do is zoom out. Zoom out all the way. Not like this, but you know, just enough so you can see where the whole body would go. Okay? And then you're going to go in there, and now you're going to start sketching in shapes. Shapes. Sketching the whole body shape, okay? And I've taught you guys before on how to do this. I don't remember what tutorial it was, but I'll just do a refresher right now anyway. Usually I like to give links to like my most recent ones, and that old one probably isn't the best. But here's what I'm doing, okay? So see how immediately we already are at an advantage because we're drawing in the body using shapes, okay? And in this case, she was holding a gun, so I could draw like this, right? Kind of get that ready. And then the other arm will be like holding the gun. So it'll be down like this. Maybe we'll have like a hand there. The gun will be in this shape, right? Going down. And there you go. See, now you're already off to a much better start because you have laid in your shapes. You have laid in your shapes. Okay, so please start like this. Okay, guys? And then you can make all these adjustments from here too. It's like, okay, well, I want the legs to be a little bit bigger. Let's just go ahead and grab that. And you can do all this stuff so easily. You can do this stuff so easily. And laying it out in this rough state is very, very nice. It's very nice because then it allows you to just freely kind of get your shapes in. It gets your silhouettes on point, right? Which is just the outside edges of your character. Gets your silhouettes on point. But more importantly, it gets your flow on point. So if you look at this, there's a really nice flow that's happening from the head going down, right, into this hip. So you got like this nice, subtle, gentle S-curve that's going through your piece. And this is a very nice thing to see. We always like to see S-curves in a lot of our work, and I've talked about this before. So watch for those like subtle like action lines, right? Whereas what we did before, there's no action here. It's like a straight line down. And not only is this hideous to look at, but it's just a straight line down. There's no flow to it, which is another reason why drawing like this allows you to get those shapes in, allows you to get flow, and everybody's having a good time. All right, cool. So that takes care of drawing off a head. Let's talk about, oh shoot, what was the other thing? Oh my gosh. Has this thing been running the whole time? Oh, I apologize if that was making an annoying buzzing noise. That's my external hard drive. I hate it when I forget to turn that thing off. Oh, I guess I'll find out if it made a weird buzzing sound after this. But anyway, whatever. This is a good tutorial, so we're continuing. So that's how you draw off a head. Let's talk about, oh shoot, working in layers. Okay, so let's go ahead and move up. So that's working in layers also. But here, let me show you guys another thing that I like to do here. And that is, okay, working in layers. So here's a good example of working in layers. So let's go here. Let's go to our group right here. And let's say, this is what I like to talk about here. Or this is what I like to do. Create a new layer, okay? Whenever you're gonna make a major change to something. say like specifically in the face, right? Let's just go with the face. This is a prime example actually, because let's say, okay, well, I want to have like this paint on her face. So maybe we like do something like this, something like that. Maybe like do one of those things, make it more tribal. I don't know, right? But see, you can create all of these awesome face paints, and they're on their own layer, because say you didn't like this and then you used up all your history, you can always turn that off. But more importantly, let's talk about another thing. And that is refinement. So let's say we created a new layer first. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go in here and begin refining our edges. We're going to refine our edges. So we're painting with just blacks and whites right here, people. Blacks and whites. And we're going in and we're just refining some of these edges, right? Really just making it look nice, making it look really nice. And the nice thing about working on a separate layer is that it will allow you to flip it on and off and basically see the changes that you've done, almost like a quick glance into the past, the recent past of your piece. And this allows you to just get perspective on where you're going and kind of just do some comparisons as to, is this improving the piece? Is this cleaning it up? Is this making it look worse? So say stuff like this. So we've just done that, right? Probably can't tell much of a difference until we turn this layer on and off. See how we're changing values, we're adding shadows in, cleaning things up, right? So this is what I like to do. I like to work in layers as I begin refining my piece, and then eventually, once I'm happy with it, I'll just merge it right back. Now it's on the new layer, and then I can create a new one to start adding more changes, all right? Now, the last thing I want to talk about, peoples, is sketch lifting. Sketch lifting, because I'm actually just going to show you guys how to do that right here. I'm going to show you guys how to do that right now. Usually I point you back to another episode, but for this one, I'm just going to show you, okay? So, sketch lifting. So first of all, what is sketch lifting? Well, sketch lifting allows you to paint something in black and white like this. And then it allows you to basically make all of the whites disappear. All of the whites of your piece become transparent. Like, wait, why is it doing that? Like that, no. Where is it? Oh, have I not even sketch lifted this? Oh, I have not sketch lifted this. Perfect. Okay, cool. Okay, great. So this is a great example. Okay, so if you look at this piece, there's a lot of areas that you can see through. You can see through the checkered spots, right? And I say that if we're going to start coloring this, we need to make all of these white spaces. Let's make all these white spaces see-through. And then all of the gray areas, I still want those to have value there, but I want those to become more transparent. So how do you do that? I'm going to show you guys that right now. Okay, so here is step one. Step one is you must have your piece all set up like this. So it's just black and white and it is ready to go. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to hit Shift, Control, Alt, and E. Okay. Or basically flatten or stamp the image. Okay. Now that should give you a single layer of just your drawing. See how it's just the layer and then the background. Okay. Now the next thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go to Adjustments, Brightness, Contrast, and then I like to click Use Legacy here because they had it right before. I don't know why they changed it. And then you're going to adjust your brightness and contrast to the point where the background becomes straight white, full white. And then you want your, actually, we need to desaturate this too. It also helps to desaturate your image. Sometimes I like to work and see how it's like kind of reddish. It really helps to like desaturate it to like straight black and white before you do this. Now go to Brightness, Contrast, hit Use Legacy. Then we're going to go ahead and use our sliders to get us to a good point where the background turns straight white. And you want to have a good contrast between your lights and your darks, right? Good contrast between the lights and the darks. You don't want to go too dark though, because see how the background is starting to turn gray here? You want it to be straight white. So like that. So that looks good right about there. Okay, perfect. Okay, now what we're going to do is direct your attention down to the Layers tab. We're going to click over a tab to Channels. What could that possibly do? Okay, well, we're going to not pull up the taskbar. We're going to very carefully not go too far down and click this magical button right here. And that is going to create ants. It's going to put ants all over your drawing. Now, that is step one. So you have ants on your drawing. Now you're going to hit Shift Control I. Shift Control I, which is going to invert that selection. Go back to layers. Go back to layers here. And then create a new layer. Shift Control N. Okay, new layer. Select a color of your choosing. I'm just going to do like purple. And then you're going to go to Edit Fill. Edit Fill foreground color. And then you will see that you have created a, oh, whoops, almost spoiled it. Oh, that was close. Okay, so you have created a purple version of your drawing, but more importantly, let's take away the background and you have a lifted version of your sketch. A lifted version of your sketch ready to have colors put behind it. So this is so amazing, people. Everybody should be doing this. That is sketch lifting, and that is how it is done. That is how you do it. And just for demonstrative purposes, I love that word, demonstrative. Always makes me think of Monsters, Inc. I don't know why. But let's talk about what we just did. So remember how we had those old lines. Let's actually just pull those up. Let's pull those up. So see these old lines here? This is all well and good. But watch what happens when we try to lay colors behind it. See, putting in color here, putting in color here. See how it only shows up in certain areas where we didn't paint? See, that is what sketch lifting does. It allows you to rather have something like this. And now when you put colors behind it, now you can place them in all areas that are white. And see how easy that is to now begin coloring your piece? It's super awesome, people. So you should all do it out there. You should all do it. So sketch lifting. In the future, I'm going to be directing people back to this because I have been seeing you guys doing it on the Facebook, and that is really awesome. Really happy that this is helping you guys out. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and end today's show. I'm going to be working on this more throughout the next week. Super excited to have another original character, now brought up to the new year in the new style and with the new techniques and new skill. We're having a good time with that. Before we go, I do have to say thank you to my amazing sponsor, Laura Bashir, David Chiariello, and of course our new one, Captain Big Butt, which is this cybernetic maid girl. Very, very cute, but also a little creepy. A little creepy with those eyes. But yes, thank you to my amazing sponsors who have sponsored me on Patreon. And also, a new thing that I'm doing is I'm saying thank you to my previous sponsors right here. So if you ever sponsored the show, your animated portrait will be placed here. And yeah. But, I mean, if you're a current sponsor, I sing your name, and you get the cool, like, fanfare and all that. Oh, yeah, and of course, speaking of the Patreon, if you guys want to get today's PSD, then click this picture right here. It'll take you over to the Patreon. You can support the show, get today's PSD, as well as all the other PSDs from shows past, as well as a bunch of other cool rewards. Just go ahead and click that picture. Go check it out. Get cool stuff, and have a good time. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end today's show. Thank you guys so much for joining me on YouTube. Thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you don't. My name is Kienan Lafferty. I'll see you guys next week. And until then, you guys take care. See ya.